I call to order the regular meeting on Monday, February 26, 2024 at 2:04 p.m. At this time, I'd like to ask Commissioner Cox to give the invocation.
And if you'd like to join us. Dear Heavenly Father, as we come to you today, we'd like to thank you for all your many blessings. We thank you for allowing us to be here today to do the business for the county, Lord. We ask for your wisdom and your guidance in all that we say and do, that you'll help us to make the best decisions possible for the county, Lord. We ask you for travel mercy on the way home today, and it's in your name that we pray. Amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America
and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
I entertain a approval of the agenda.
Motion to approve agenda. Second.
All right, all in favor?
Aye.
All right. All opposed? All right, all in favor carries. Next we go to the public comments. And let's see. Sally, you want to come up, please?
Hello. I just want to donate my time to Glenn.
Lynn?
I didn't think I could get this done in 5 minutes. Hello, everyone. First and foremost, I want to thank everyone again for saving my life. Scott Aaron, Brendan Gentry, Renee Bridges, Wayne Barneycastle, all of them helped save my life. Wasn't for all you, I wouldn't be here today. And I sure wouldn't be in any condition to come up here and talk. Got some handouts.
Thank you, sir.
All right. The first thing I wanted to talk about was something I didn't have the chance to actually print out and give to everybody, but I'm kind of disturbed about something that I'd like an answer to, and that is these little flyers come in the mail, and they cut down people on one side and promote people on the other side, and it's USPS permit number 393. And guys, you use the same permit number for your flyer that you guys sent out. I'd like to know who the PAC is that's responsible for it and who's funding it. I think that would be nice for everybody to know. All right, on the handout that I gave you, the first page is a public notice that Amber sent out. And I want you to read something with me, and that is, the Board of Commissioners will consider adopting a resolution declaring the intent to sell, lease, or convey. Now, convey sounds to me like give. And I'd like to know who that is going to be. Obviously, there was an intention to give it to somebody, because I don't know why you would use the word convey in a sentence like this unless you intended it. Because other than that, you're going to sell or lease it, I would hope. I mean, it's worth a lot of money. I'd like to know that as well. And I think the citizens would too. Let's see. Now to the heart of the matter. Page 2 of what I gave you is what we need to add to our school system. Sally and I grew up in Armstrong County, Pennsylvania. In Armstrong County, Pennsylvania, there's a school system that has one school called Lenape Votech. If you're going to do something with the school systems and you're closed schools, and I'm not here to tell you what's best on that, I'm not an expert in any of that. What I am an expert at is what a Votech would do for the trades in this county, and how we would be able to get our kids trained on stuff like automotive technology, biomedical, collision repair, computer information, all these kind of things that I have listed here These are what is available at Lenape Votech. Sally took sales, and I had electronics technology. They've merged both of ours into different categories now. But law enforcement information technology. This is stuff that kids going out of high school can get jobs doing. And if you're going to change the school system and you're going to close a school or two, would you consider investing money into something like this? Because our kids don't have to go to college for an arts degree. What the heck are they going to do with that anyway? Okay, they get a trade, they can get a job. And guess what? Have you tried to hire a plumber lately? Well, they aren't as many of them as there used to be. Why? Because people are getting out of it because everybody's driving them to college. We need plumbers. We need people to put in air conditioning and heating systems. They got to be out there. And I'd like to recommend to this county that you guys take an initiative and start looking at something like this. And I invite you to go out to Lenape's website. I put it on the bottom there. And I would also recommend traveling up there and visiting the place. It's gorgeous. And you will walk through that place and you will be astounded at what they're teaching these kids. There's a full auto body shop there. I mean, they teach them from the ground up. I saw them take cars in that I would have sent to the junkyard, and coming out, they were gorgeous, running like a kitten. I mean, just running like mad. I would really like you to consider doing something like this in our county. I think it would be a very big benefit to the kids and to the county itself. Do I have any questions from you? See, I told you I'd keep it short. No questions? Well, then I advocate the rest of my time. Thank you for listening.
Thanks, Glenn.
Good to see you again.
Good to be seen and not viewed.
I might have to reuse that one.
Working on that.
Our next speaker, and I may mispronounce your name, sir, but come on up, is Cervante? Cervante?
Sarvashri, all syllables the same length. But I'll endorse what he just said. I don't know if you've seen Elon Musk speak recently, saying, you don't need a college education, you need to be able to do stuff.
There you go.
Very interesting. I have a degree in engineering, physics, and a broad background in natural health care. I've been practicing for 53 years. I'm just turned 78 years old. And just wanted to pass on some information. I used to come to the commissioners' meetings, every meeting for 8 or 10 years, maybe. Ronnie knows, 8 years or so. And made presentations. All those presentations you will get a copy of, because I brought a batch of them, selected presentations. And if you look around a little bit, we notice that things are kind of weird these days. And people say that we're coming up on the end times. And it's actually 2 cycles that I understand that we're coming into. One is the end of a 12,000-year cycle, and the other is an end to a 240 million-year cycle, which is one revolution of the galaxy that we're coming up on. And so things are going to be changing a lot, and for the better or for the worse, depending upon where you're situated. But I wanted to promote the idea of pushing for things happening for the better. That this is a great opportunity to make a huge transformation in consciousness and in health, and create a new society, really, a new earth. The presentations I used to make were to make Stokes County the happiest, healthiest, greenest county in the nation. And recently I've been studying a lot in natural agriculture and how we can restore the soils. We need to restore the soils, and we need to be able to create a healthy food system. It turns out that our food system as it is does not have the nutritional density that it should. In fact, This is one of the primary causes of all of our psychological and health problems, is that we don't have the nutrition we should have. It's possible to grow food that has as much as 200 times more nutrition than currently exists. Carrots, for instance, have been grown with 200 times the nutrition of the typical carrot you can buy in the store. My wife and I used to travel and select from the stores and from the farmers markets everything that could be bought. We would bring it home and test it with a Brix refractometer to find out whether it was any good or not. And in the handout that you'll be getting of all of the presentations that I've made before, there's a page in there that talks about how food can be tested and also how food can be grown much more healthily than it is today. We can grow without pesticides, without herbicides, and if we do it properly, the farmers will make a lot more money because they're spending way too much money on amendments that would not be needed if we improve the soil. And we can rebuild the soil in 1 to 3 years to make our soil really, really productive. It would help the farmers, it helps Stokes County. So I just wanted to pass that along to you, that we need to start taking steps now to that can really practically make Stokes County just really shine, and the people in Stokes County become much, much healthier than they are now. I think if I do it right, I might live to 125 or 150. It's possible.
Sounds good.
The oldest person I know of is
You're up.
250.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
After run, I'll have some work I have to do. I have to get back to some work. Thank you for your time.
Good seeing you
For the
again.
information.
Appreciate it. At this time, we'll close the floor for public comments at 2:15, and we'll now go to the manager commissioner's comments. Sonia, you want to start with?
Sure. Thank you all for being here today, and for those watching online. And Lynn, as far as your comments, I don't know the answer to anything you asked, so I can't help you with any of that, but I don't think we're going to give the hospital away to anybody. We haven't talked about giving it away, so just FYI, I think it's safe. I don't know if that's just legalese that was used to cover all the bases, I guess, but I'm glad to see you here and doing better, and we sure have sent up a lot of prayers for you. And if you don't mind, one of the things on my list to talk about and to get more information about, which you could probably help Amber where we left off with what we were looking at into the cell tower coverage around, especially around Sandy Ridge. I was just talking to someone as I've been out campaigning and talking to people, and they had told me of an incident that happened out there where a girl from Guilford County was going to commit suicide, and she was out riding around, and she was going to jump off of a bridge in Guilford County, and she couldn't find a good place to pull off her car. Not that I would think if you're fixing to kill yourself it would matter, but I guess she didn't want her car to get hit. So, but anyway, she was going to call the suicide hotline and could not get out service in Sandy Ridge. She was out of gas. Well, she had a knife in her lap under a hoodie when they took her out of the car. She did manage to call 911, and they sent somebody over there. But it's just, you don't think about those things until, you know, that there are areas of our county where people can't call the suicide hotline, or, you know, I think most areas you can call 911, but that is a problem if you can't. I know you were doing a great job of checking into some of that for us, so we just don't need to let that ball drop, and we need to keep moving forward with it. And another area of concern, I'll just throw out there while I've got a minute, is, you know, I think as a board, you know, you read all this stuff and you don't know what to believe about some of the China's capability and taking out the power grid and different things. But I would like to know, just, and maybe we would have to do this in closed session with emergency management. So I don't know that they would want to discuss any plan out in the open, but I would just like to know how prepared are we if an attack like that happens? Because if all of the electronics get fried and not just the power goes out, but computers and phones don't work and some vehicles don't work, I mean, what are we gonna do? And
Can I say something about that?
you sure can.
On the cell phone towers, the folks that I was talking to have checked in occasionally with me, but they realize I'm not doing this anymore, so I don't know who else was doing it. I really don't have any idea. As far as emergency management, you don't have to worry about nuclear weapons. You have to worry about EMPs, like electromagnetic pulses. That'll fry every bit of electronics, whether it's plugged in or not. We need to be prepared for that. I'm not sure the county is. And that's called a Faraday cage, is what needs to be put in.
Okay. Good.
Anyway,
We'll be discussing that further with the appropriate people, but thank you for that information. Also, all the basketball teams, I think, are doing playoffs this week, so good luck to all of them as they start their playoff journey. That's all I have.
Wood?
Thank everybody for coming out. Thank everybody that watches on YouTube. It's amazing how many people mention I see you on YouTube. I didn't know I would be a superstar one day. But Glenn, trades
Oh yeah, 100%.
is 100%. I could start a war, but I'm not. I'm gonna be nice.
that helped.
I will say this. I'm just going to say this. There are kids that have graduated that don't know that Forsyth Tech has a campus at Meadows. And that disturbs me greatly. Parents and teachers, wake up. Steer these kids into the trades. They can make more than a doctor. The sky's the limit. So that's all I got to say.
Mr. Morris?
Thanks, Mr. Chairman. I'll talk about Glenn's things. First of all, I don't know anything about the flyers other than if they're legal, they should have names on the bottom of who paid for them. And contact those people. They ought to be able to answer your questions on the flyers. Under no circumstances would I ever vote to give the hospital away. I think this language, and I'm going from memory, but I think it's General Statute 131E-13, paragraph D, I think does that sound right? If you'll look at that, I think it tells us this is a language we have to use for what we're getting ready to do. Convey, I think, in this context, I think when they say convey, they're talking about things like assigning the lease to somebody else, but I'm not sure. I'm just kind of guessing. I think that's what it said. If you read that section, I think it'll kind of clarify it for you.
Yeah, we just pulled the language directly from that. Yeah, I can.
Yeah. And what was the technical stuff? Yeah, I agree. I'll give this to the school board to be thinking about and looking at if you haven't already. And I think we're all open to getting more trades. All of us folks that are trying to find them, like you said, and can't get them. So that's a good thought. Good thoughts on your part. A couple other items. I talked to Pat Ivy, the district engineer for number 9. I asked him, I was talking about something else with him, but I asked him about Highway 89 closure down here. He said they would, I think he said they had the design work completed on it, and they would be they have to go through a solicitation process to pick a contractor, so they'll be doing that this spring. And once the contractor is selected and the contract is awarded, it would take, I think he said, a minimum of 6 to 8 weeks to get the work done. So that sounds like mid-summer sometime or whatever, so to have that done. The only other thing I was going to mention, I've heard some comments around the neighborhood about public comments from various governing bodies and so forth. ever since I've been here as county manager and commissioner too as well, I think we've had public comments at just about every meeting we have. We try to. I'm not sure if we do it at the budget work sessions or not. I can't remember.
We have a public hearing for the budget, but normally
Uh,
not
for the-
comments on each one.
Yeah, I think we've had them. I think we've had them for every meeting we have except for that. That's the only one I can think of. And the statute only requires us to do it once a month. But my personal opinion, and I think it's probably shared by the other board members, is that we do this because we want to hear from the public, whether we like what they're saying or don't like it or agree with it or disagree. It's irrelevant. We want to give them the opportunity to give us feedback. And, you know, to me, that's part of transparency that we want to have with our local government to the folks. So as long as I've got a vote on it, we will do public comments every opportunity we get to give people a chance to communicate with us and communicate with, on the camera with the public and let them hear what you guys are telling us. So other than that, welcome to the meeting. We got a sparse crowd here today, hopefully some online watching. But we appreciate everyone's participation in our local government. That's all I have. Mr. Mendenhall?
Sir. As always, I always want to start off by thanking everybody that's here. As Commissioner Morris said, we don't have as many as usual, but for the ones that are here, thank you. As far as the comments on and also thank you to anybody that's watching on live stream, YouTube, because there are more people that watches that than you realize. I get calls a lot of times from people that weren't at the meeting, but they were watching it on live stream. And, I think that's very important that everybody in this county takes part in a participation of a governmental process. It's very important to me because they are our constituents and we need to hear what they're thinking. As far as the trades goes, I'm 100% behind that. I'll tell you, you talked about plumbing. I just hired a plumber to come over. Took him 2 months to work it in a schedule. And when he got there, if people don't think that people in the trades business can make good money, they haven't had anything done lately. I'm just being up front. And that's great, because if we don't have people that can do jobs like that, a lot of people don't want to do jobs like that. I have a lot of brick masonry work done. I only know of one person in the county that does that. I know him well. He does all my brick work. And so it's a shame that all the people in Stokes County does not know that we have a trades building over at Meadows, right in front of the early college, because I'm going to tell you, is the importance of trades. I didn't go into trades. When I need a job done and I can't do it, and then they come and do it, and I have to pay them what they pay, I wish then I had gone into took some of the trades that South Stokes offered when I was in school. So that's all I'm going to say about the trades. I'm 100% behind emphasizing the trades because the future job market is going to have more and more of the trades in it. I hope everyone at the last meeting, I encouraged everyone to get out and vote because it's one of your freedoms that you have. I think Commissioner Wood echoed the importance he also felt in that. I'm not up here to tell you who to vote for, and I never will, But I do encourage you, two of my sons fought in Afghanistan, and my dad fought in Korea, and they did that to help us keep our freedoms. And one of them is the right to vote. So please, to all the people in the county, get out and vote. You still got a few days of early voting left, and then on March 5th, it's the main day. I would be at a poll somewhere just looking around. I'm not running, so, but I'd be out on that day just seeing how many people turned out. Having my wife is having a colonoscopy and an endoscopy on March 5th, the date of voting, so I'll be at the hospital with her on that day. I did want to recognize one individual before I pass it on to our chairman and county manager. We have recognized a lot of groups in my 8 years up here in all sorts of ways, whether it's academic or athletic. All of the basketball teams, as Commissioner Cox said, I think are in the playoffs. And I know personally, I've watched a lot of games. I think South Stokes has a very good team this year. I do want to brag, I want to throw this in there. My second year when I was principal at North Stokes, I won a team, made it to the state championship game, where they finished second, played at the Dean Smith Center, and that was an exciting time for the people there. And I wanted to recognize someone that used to teach at North Stokes, and he was my tennis coach at North for a long time, and that's Julian McKenzie. I don't know if any of you know Mac, but he coached tennis in my 7 years as principal at North. He coached tennis for me 5 out of the 7 years. And Julian is going to be inducted in August into the North Carolina High School Athletic Association Hall of Fame. And I'm just going to read briefly, and then I'll turn it over to our chairman, what the one of the nomination letters said about Mac. Julian Mac McKenzie is a beloved coach from North Stokes High School who has been instrumental in the lives of many students and student athletes. Coach McKenzie is widely known for being the first guidance counselor and assistant football coach at North Stokes High School when the school opened in 1964. In 1981, McKenzie started the North Stokes High School girls tennis program, which he coached for 32 out of the next 34 years, being named Conference Coach of the Year 17 times. He also won Conference Coach of the Year 2 more times during his time as a girls basketball coach. Across his 48 years of coaching, McKenzie's teams became highly decorated with 20 conference championships, 12 regional championships, and 7 state championships. Awards won by his players include 69 all-conference performers, 12 conference players of the year, 8 state champions, and 4 all-Northwest performers. McKenzie helped to support and mold numerous lives of young students in his time as a counselor and coach, and continues to mentor and coach even after retiring. North Carolina High School Athletic Association Hall of Fame will honor these 8 individuals with a private reception at their offices in April, and they will be officially inducted into the Hall of Fame on August 17th at the Embassy Suites in Cary. And I just want to say to Mac, who know very well, congratulations, Mac. That's all I have, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you. Amber, you have to say?
I'll just say welcome to everybody here and those watching online. Thank you for being here. And I will just confirm that that is, for the public notice, that is where that language came from, was directly from that statute, which I have sent the link. And I'll be happy to provide that to anybody else who may want the link to that statute.
I'd like to welcome everybody to the meeting today, whether it be on YouTube or in person. I agree with you, Glenn, on the technology 150%. I think there's pretty much a mass agreement with that, including the school board members, because I've been going to the forums and we kind of hear that. So I think you're onto something, but it is nice to have a place that it's actually working where we can refer to.
45 years.
Yeah, that's a pretty good track record. So that's something that we definitely need to look at. But thank you for bringing it to our attention. With that being said, we're going to close down the manager commissioner comments, and I'm going to read the conflicts of interest. Before moving further, does any board member have a conflict with any items on the agenda for today, or one that could be perceived as a conflict of interest? Okay, we have none. Okay, I'll entertain a motion for the consent agenda.
Motion to approve consent.
Second.
All in favor?
I have a question for you about discussion.
Discussion? Yeah.
The, Lisa, would you and Amber, just briefly, I meant to get with you before the meeting, I ran out of time, discuss this audit, increase this budget amendment on the audit? Whoever wants to.
The contract amount is for up to 3 major programs.
Mhm.
We had 8 major programs this year, and that's anything, it's federal or state dollars, it's over $700,000 threshold.
Mhm.
So with all these monies coming in, they will charge $3,500 for each major program over 3.
Okay. So where did they come from, these extra ones? So did we not know we were having them, or don't have them, or what? Is it just changes in the standards or whatever that caused us to have to add that much?
Until we did the SEPSA and figured out how much money was for each.
Oh,
Well, I
okay.
think some of the, the state funding that we received too it doesn't align with our budget always, because the state budget always comes after ours. So some of the monies we received, we weren't 100% sure we were receiving them or how much we were receiving. So I'm sure
Okay.
that played a role into it too, because the different grants we received for the fire departments, and I know Brandon Gentry's received some. The Sewer and Water Authority has received some. So all those would count towards the major programs.
Okay.
And I think with the contract, this is the last year of the 3-year contract
Okay.
that is on there also. She's got total not to go over with 10 major programs
Okay.
budgeted in that, and we probably will, and it will fall into fund balance if we don't use it. Just to
Okay.
make sure we have enough and we don't have to do a budget amendment again.
Oh, okay. So then, so we'll talk about that during the auditors, during the budget cycle, right?
Yes.
Okay, that's all I have.
Okay. Let's take the vote one more time. All in favor of approving the consent agenda?
Aye.
All opposed? All right, motion carries. At this time, we'll go into the information agenda, and Via Health update, I believe, is up first.
Well, good afternoon, everyone. I'm Kara Donor with Via Health. I'm one of the community relations directors, and we now have 32 counties in Via's catchment. We just were awarded, I guess is the best word, Rockingham County, and so that's also in my catchment. So that has kept us busy. There's a lot going on in the behavioral health world, so I'm excited to give you an update on how the county is doing in data-wise. And thank you to the presenters earlier. That's interesting. I know I want to grow my own carrots, and very interested about the vocab stuff. So thank you for sharing that. Well, I'll go ahead and go in. And before I start, I'll just let everyone know who's listening. So Via Health is one of the managed care organizations for the state. We manage Medicaid for the state, and we hire, in essence, providers to provide that care. So Via's been around for about 50 years, and now there are a total of 5 MCOs in the state that serve various counties. Am I pointing us the right way, Amber?
Is it on?
It's on. Probably user error. told you, user error. Okay, so the first slide, we've talked about this before, but we have innovation slots. And what that is that's a statewide program. And it allots family members about $120,000 a year to provide care for their members who would otherwise possibly be in an institution. You can see on the left side, that's how many people living in Stokes County are on that waiver. And on the right side, it's just exactly the same, the amount of members who are waiting to get on the innovations waiver. So even though $120,000 sounds expensive, people who are in institutionalized care, it's more than double. And not always the best environment for those people. So it's really great to hear about stories, we are also trying to get people out of institutionalized care. So each year the state allots us about 27 slots to try to get people out, and it's successful in a private setting, which is great because we can surround them with care managers to make sure they can succeed. So, and oftentimes we will take slots of other MCOs who haven't used them to giving them more people that chance to live outside of institution. So you can see care management is something that all of our members can have. Not everyone takes advantage of that, but a care manager really wraps around them, providing care, directing them on the appropriate services, making sure they get assessments to understand what they're dealing with. But you can see based on a child, an adult, who we see, and at the bottom of that list, you see IDD. That's intellectual and developmental disabilities. MH stands for mental health, and SU stands for substance usage. And then you can see on the next graph, that's for the innovations waiver. So you can see who is being served here on that, mostly adults. This is kind of a busy slide, sorry about that. So you can see on the hospital inpatient admissions, you can see who has been admitted, all of the blue, and then readmit. So that's very low. Those are good numbers for the county, and pretty low. And emergency department admissions and readmissions, you can see that those numbers are also low. We've been fluctuating a little bit in the county, but there are quite a bit in quarter one there. There are always improvements to be made, but obviously this is one of the things we really try to work on, trying to divert people from the emergency room, because they have care there, but they could get stuck there for a while. They might not have the appropriate providers, so we try to branch them off into more of a walk-in center environment. Sorry, ignore that slide. I'm going to the next presentation. I think Amber has it. Sorry, do you have to go in another room? Sorry, Amber. Oh, well, no, that's not it. So the next presentation I'm going to show you, or the data, is for mobile crisis. So we have a walk-in center, a little different aspect of the care we help provide. And this is our fault for not having the whole presentation together. I'm just going to point that out for Amber. So you can see we report on both Medicaid and non-Medicaid. Now, the state can serve anyone. So if someone's coming through North Carolina and they have a crisis, the state will provide that care. We provide care to only our Medicaid members, but we do have some ability to care for other people who don't have any kind of insurance. But we're right in the mix of Medicaid expansion, so we're working on that with the state. And something I mentioned before that I think is important to mention again: as of July 1st, we will be under tailored care plan management, tailored plan care management. And what that means is the Blue Cross Blue Shields of the state, they currently only serve people with physical health. And then the VIA, we serve people in the mental health world. So the state decided that we needed to have whole person care. So as of July 1st, we will be caring for people's physical health as well, and we'll also have a pharmacy benefit. Blue Cross Blue Shield will be caring for people with mental health illness and also pharmacy. We will still care for the most acute patients. So they will see people more like ADHD, anxiety, and we will have the more severe cases. But that's important for you to know going forward. And this is community hospital inpatient for substance use disorders, which is pretty low for the county. And then readmits on that subject. And then the walk-in center, that's what I mentioned, that we try to gear people toward. It's better care, it's faster, it's better for members most of the time, unless they have had, if they have something that needs stitches, obviously you still want to go to the hospital for that. But we try to triage people in 15 minutes right when they walk in the door. And then depending on if it's emergent or urgent, those are two separate things, we have different times for that. So urgent would be someone who needs their medicine refilled quickly within 24 to 48 hours. Emergent would be someone that is suicidal. So obviously seen immediately. And you can see here the age and intensity of the diagnosis group here. On the bottom, you can see child, adolescent, adult, and geriatric. And these are the members who have been seen at the Daymark Walk-In Center.
Is that the only walk-in site around here in our county is Daymark?
Yes. Other counties have them. Alamance also has a walk-in center. So it depends on where people are, but yeah.
And I don't think it's open, but maybe like 4 days a week or something, maybe.
I don't remember. I know it's not 24 hours.
No, it's definitely not 24 hours, but I don't even think it's about 4 days a week, maybe.
I don't remember. I can look that up and tell you because I have their page up.
I don't think there's somebody there every day.
They're Monday through Friday, 8 to 5.
Okay.
Because I have something to report that I want to make sure everyone hears about that. There is a type of response, mostly adults, and I believe most of them are outpatient. And this just depends on the provider and the case. On the right, for time to assessment. Members receiving services at the walk-in center. And then mobile crisis management. So this is what I wanted to point out. So we don't have any data of people being assessed in mobile crisis for the last quarter. So that tells me that people really probably don't know that it exists. So I wanted to make sure that I'm stating it's a 24-hour crisis line, and it's available to anyone having a crisis. If you have a high school student who is suicidal, if you have a student who is being bullied at school, call this line. If it's getting to the point where you think they're gonna take drastic measures, that's what it's there for. So the number is 866-275-9552, and then the suicide prevention line, you just dial 988. So I just wanted to make sure I said that. So I hate to see services that aren't being utilized, and I know we need them. And facility-based crisis centers, we haven't had any admits in that either. And that's likely a testament to your awesome DSS department here. They do a really good job. Does anyone have any questions?
Mr. Morris, you want to start?
I was trying to kind of get an idea of, on a scale, say a scale of 1 to 10 compared to other counties like ours, are we sort of average or above average as far as how well we're doing? I mean, I was trying to kind of
Yeah.
assess that from all the not different numbers you were showing.
I think you're doing well. Alamance County is the only one that comes to mind right now, and I mean, I just guessing, they've probably had maybe 25 assessments in the last quarter. Just throwing a number out there, but that could be what it is. So I think getting that number out into the community would be a good idea. Maybe putting it on a county website to let the people know that that's what this is here for. And Mobile Crisis works with both the walk-in centers and law enforcement. So again, that helps people be diverted from going into an emergency room. So, with the best care, with
We've
excellence.
been doing the mobile crisis.
That's a good question. I don't know. I can find that out a while.
Doesn't sound like it's getting used, so that,
So it's our job to get the number out, not your job.
I think it's everyone's job. I think the more people who can put it out, the better. I was talking with some of my colleagues today, and we're a little surprised that we haven't had more
Y'all
calls.
failed.
Maybe, but we know people are having crisis.
You would
And
think
that's
that, I
county.
know, like, the DSS has this information,
Yeah.
and, they're one of the people in the health department as well should have this information. So they should be, utilizing it, giving it out, as well as the community paramedics program
Yeah.
should have it, and, so I don't know why it's not being utilized or why people don't know about it. Because, for a while there, I really didn't think our county had access to a mobile crisis. Like, who responds? Is it if it's 24/7? Like,
Law enforcement. So, and Mike, even though it shows there were none, we did have calls, but the only thing that was reported was if there were assessments. So no assessments were done in this county. I would think there would still be a few. Now we've had in Caswell County, to answer your question, there have been times when they have had zero as well. That's smaller.
well, what's disconcerting about it is just from working at the polls in the past week or so, and different people talking about stuff up there. I know that in 5 weeks we had 5 suicides in the county. So we have one a week, and one of those was a 19-year-old, and a couple of them were really young people. So, I mean, it is a problem. Mental health and lack of mental health availability to care is a problem in our county. Or maybe it's the lack of people knowing there's any type of care. I don't know what, I've talked a lot about, as I've been campaigning, that's something we need to do better job with, is to get people connected to resources, for sure, because I'm not saying there's no resources, but obviously people think there are none, and people are in really, our county used to lead the state in suicide numbers, and we're probably still at close to the top of the list, and, people just don't know what's available, I guess, and they're just not reaching out for help.
Yeah, I mean, maybe get the school board involved,
Yeah.
and push this out to parents, because I think it's just parents don't know where to go.
These numbers need to be posted in the schools.
Yes, so maybe a campaign. We have a big behavioral center opening in Alamance in June. It's a 24-hour facility, but we are trying to get a campaign formulated on educating the public on what a mental health crisis is, because there's such a stigma and there's so many aspects of it, and it's all in the schools. But what is substance abuse? What do you do about it? What are the signs of your child having a mental health crisis? I don't think a lot of parents would know that. So we could work with the county and maybe think about, we're doing that for that county, and we just had a meeting this morning, so maybe we could help,
I know
push out some
the
things.
schools have a new, Vajana Cheek retired, and they have a new person doing, and you might have met her. She's come to she just recently started coming to, maybe just to one meeting of substance use committee, but and she's a behavioral health type person for the school system, and I cannot think of her name right now. But we would need to get her, like, these numbers should be in the bathroom of every middle and high school, you know, to call. Yeah.
It's a great idea.
Yeah, how it, yeah. That's right. But yeah, I mean, these numbers need to be posted around, and we can definitely, we could have Amber do or Tori do a Facebook, on our Facebook page, put them on there.
Okay, and I can be in contact with you, Amber, when and if we get some kind of flyers developed to have just for some messaging.
That'd be great.
Another question, would you expand a little bit on the thing you said about what you and Blue Cross and Blue Shield are doing different, you're gonna do different now, where you're each one gonna do
Yes.
all the functions. So what will the impact of that be? Will it be easier for like people to get the drugs they need for mental health
Yes.
type things and stuff like that? Will that be a benefit from that?
Absolutely. I think that's the goal. Is just have wraparound care. So you have one organization that handles physical health, mental health, and then prescriptions. So we already have hired pharmacists, and we're educating everyone across the state, because as you can imagine, it's a large endeavor. So we've had a lot of delays. The state has had delays in pushing it out. I think maybe 4.
Yeah.
So we're hopeful that it's in July. Via our organization, we're ready to have that happen. But I think it will be a good thing, because we don't have to kind of go different places for all of our care and services.
Hey, last question I have is, and maybe DSS would be one to answer this too, but do we have major issues with the patients being able to get transportation to visits where they need to go?
Well, the transportation will be it's part of the Medicaid benefit. So with Medicaid expansion, people will be able to get more should be able to get more transportation. It would be great to know. I don't know what all the transportation services are in the county, so we're starting to have meetings to find out who those providers are. But yes, that should be an enhanced benefit with
Okay.
tailored.
I think Stacy can give you all that
Yeah.
information.
Stacy's great. Yeah.
That's all I have, Mr. Chairman.
Mr. Mendenhall?
Don't really have any questions. This is good information, not only for the commissioners, but for the Board of Education, for all the municipalities, all the councils. It's good for them. Maybe we can make sure that King, Winnetka, and Danbury all gets maybe a copy of this PowerPoint. And I know that our DSS has been doing a very good job. Stacy has done an excellent job helping with this. It was at one time, as Commissioner Cox said, we were the #1 county in the state. And that was not a positive, that was a negative. We were the #1 county in the state with the high suicide rate. That was very tough to take. We're not now. However, we are still up in the upper area. But communication, I think, is very important. I think Commissioner Morris hit something which usually gives us trouble, but I'm glad to see that you said this would not. And that's transportation. Transportation seems to always give us problems with special needs, special types of programs. However, I don't know. Could be Y-Betty, could be the other services that are going to be involved with the transportation. I don't know who it is, but I think if people realize we got to remove the stigma of asking for help because it's there. People that need help are usually the ones that will not ask for help, but they need help, and it's in the schools, and it's out in the community, and we need to not just as our board of commissioners, but I think any group that has anything to do with this, that they can work with Vaya, and we can see improvements, positive improvements. So thank you for the communication.
Absolutely. I mean, when you see numbers of elementary kids committing suicide, we need to find out why and be more involved in those discussions about what's really going on. Because there are so many resources, but you're right, pushing them out to the community is the challenge. Thank you so much.
I have Mr. Jones. Commissioner Wood.
I'm good. It was a good report. I would just like a copy of it because I guess I'm getting old. I couldn't read it from here.
Yeah, I'll upload it once the meeting's over.
Commissioner Cox, anything further?
Not really. I think that the admissions being low is a bit misleading probably. I mean, I don't think that equates to the need is low. I think the need is high, and people are just not getting the, to the resources that they need. A lot of times don't know about, and the stigma is there, and that prevents a lot of people from seeking help, unfortunately. But I do feel like with the Medicaid expansion, maybe we'll catch a lot of people that's not getting care right now and be able to provide more care for a lot more people. So
I don't know if you all saw the hearing where the social media companies testified before Congress about a month ago. But
some of that,
yes, but most of them had to be subpoenaed, and then a handful of them put in protections for the kids a week before they testified, and they reported pulling 650,000 drug dealers off of Snapchat, and 100,000 cases a day reported of exploitation of kids, and 20,000 cases a day reported for sextortion. And this is all happening, it's all connected to mental health and substance use, which is what we deal with. So I think we have a big battle, but I'm excited that we can work together.
I think it's important that they get briefings like this, because it was kind of, I don't want to say shocking, but it was very important that you had the information that about the telephone, the notifications of the telephone number. And so that helps bring out the awareness level that part of the program is not being utilized because whatever the reason, it's not getting to them. So thank you for putting that in your report. I know sometimes when agencies give reports, they don't like to say stuff that is not too great when it comes to effectiveness, especially when you're running the program. But I appreciate that, and it was an excellent report.
Thank you very much.
One more quick
Yes, sir.
question. Is Stokes Opportunity Center, do you guys do that, or is it still operational in Walnut Cove, or is that somebody else?
That's somebody, we're not, I don't believe we're connected to that. Yeah.
Still going, isn't it?
Yeah.
All right, thank you.
I'm wondering if some people don't use that mobile crisis hotline because a lot of times, depending on what the crises are, they don't really want law enforcement. And if that's who goes out, they're not trained mental health people, for a mental health crisis. I mean, I'm sure they deal with some and they may know who to call, but maybe when we get our peer support specialists up and going, they could be sent out with law enforcement or something if it's a substance use issue, not just a mental health crisis breakdown thing. It just depends, I just think you need more resources to send out in a crisis like that than just law enforcement.
Yes, and while the walk-in center is great, from 8 to 5,
Yeah.
most crisis
Don't
like
happen
that,
during-
they don't happen during that time frame.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. We'll work on that some. That's a thing that I think we could expound on in our committee, or their substance use and treatment committee can even talk about some more resources and where to point people to. So that's an ongoing conversation that we've been having, but we need to, especially with this new person from the school system and taking that job, we can expound on that quite a bit and try to brainstorm on it.
Yes.
So we'll do it.
Thank you very much. Appreciate it.
Appreciate it.
Thanks.
Next is the sales tax update, and our finance director, Lisa Langford, will present.
Well, I had it attached onto the agenda. We're 6 months in to sales tax now. Just the figures compared to last year. And Ms. Sharp, Jonna Sharp, had kind of steered me, showing that September and October and the totals look less. So in my mind, I'm thinking people aren't buying as much. But it could be from the net refunds, which is for your nonprofits when they ask back for their sales tax refunds. September of 22, refunds were 169,000 versus this year was 240,000. So the reason for the decline. Same thing in October. And she had mentioned the sales tax distribution, the sales that happened in January, collections are in February. There's a closeout in March, and the county gets their distribution in April. So instead of being 60 days, Jonna says they're beginning to look that it's 90 days before you get the actual collection of that month. Just thought it might help, since we're talking about budget, maybe what we've received so far for sales tax.
Do you have any questions, comments?
I guess just as we do the budget, whatever the latest info you can get that we could use to make a projection be helpful, even though they
This
lag.
is
They
through,
do lag so far behind.
right, through the February 15th deposit would have been December on
Okay.
this.
Okay. That's all I have.
Anybody else?
Thank you for the information, though.
Thank you, Lisa. Under the discussion agenda, we have the tax office agenda, and Richard Brim will present.
Just like always, first item is our tax collections monthly status report. We've collected about 96.35% of the budget, so we should be able to meet that goal of 100% by the end of the fiscal year. We're currently about $832,000 ahead of where we were last year for the county and school operating collections, so we're doing good in the collections. Next item is the real and personal releases less than $100. We have 5 accounts that total $376.90. Real and personal releases more than $100. We have 1 account that totals $46.98.53. In the last category, we have refunds more than 100. That's 2 accounts that total $361.56. Next item I have is the advertisement of the 2023 tax liens. As of February 1st, we had 3,383 delinquent tax bills that totaled $1,837,838.54 for all the tax districts in the county. We have to report this. The state makes us do that each year. Report it to the board. We will send out second notices to all the delinquent real property owners on March 1st, and then by the end of the fiscal year, the ones who haven't paid, we will advertise those in Stokes News. And then the final item I have is the 2024 equalization and review dates request. I've spoken to County Manager Amber Brown to verify that the dates that I've suggested do not conflict with any meetings that the board have, so I am suggesting Monday, April the 15th at 6 p.m. and Monday, May 6th at 2 p.m. I request the following information to go to the March 11th consent agenda. The real and personal releases more than $100 and the real and personal refunds more than $100. The advertisement of the 2023 tax liens and the approval of the 2024 Board of Equalization and Review dates. I would also like to send an invitation to the board members, anybody in the audience, anyone watching, Register Deeds, the tax office, and tourism department will be at Sandy Ridge Fire Department tomorrow at 2 p.m. We've been invited there by Miss Paula Hall, who is the King Senior Services Coordinator, and she has asked us to come. Last week we were over in King, done a presentation. It was well attended, had a lot of good questions, a lot of good participation. Topics that we'll focus on, Register Deeds, we'll talk about property fraud and some of the measures that they've got in place to help with that. I'll speak about the county-wide reevaluation as well as some of our exemption programs that we have, use value, veteran and elderly exemption. And then Tori will talk about some of the area attraction activities that Stokes County offers. We're going to be on March the 12th, we're going to go to 10:30 a.m. We'll be in Winnick Cove at the Senior Center. I'd like to say that Reba Dotson, the Stokes County Winnick Cove Senior Center Director, and Paula Hall, they both do a great job, and I didn't realize all the activities that they have planned. So I encourage anybody that wants something to do that's over 55 to get out and do that. I was made aware that next year I turn 50, so I was made aware when I'm 55 that I can participate. And I feel like that I'm nowhere near. 55 is not old, I'm not saying that at all, but I feel more like I'm 25, but most of the time, sometimes my body says not.
When you get there, the next ones go up in fives until you're gone.
That's all it has.
What time on the 12th?
12th is Winnick Cove at 10:30 a.m.
Any other comments, questions?
Yeah, Richard, that $1,837,000, is that about a normal amount from one year to the next?
It is. I actually pulled that, and last year it was $1,728,000, but when I run those numbers last year, it was on the 15th of February. I run these numbers on the 1st of February. So 2 weeks probably had a lot of people pay.
Okay.
It's typical though.
Yeah. I'm good with the 2 dates you put in for the ENR meeting.
Same here. That's all I had. Mr. Mendel? Great report, Richard, unless
Thank you.
Mr. Fox says something.
No, it's good. Good report. Thank you.
Thanks. Now we have offer for surplus tax foreclosed property, and our purchasing manager, Glenda Pruitt.
Hello. Yeah, I snuck in the back. I've received an offer. We took some property for the surplus taxes back in December, the end of December, and we had an offer to purchase from United Investment Properties. There's 2 parcels on Mary Don Drive. They're right side by side. The first offer we received was $3,500 for lot 66. For lot 65, we received $3,350. I talked to Richard, and he thinks this is a fair offer for what the property is. I think there's some cleanup that needs to be done on it. So we're in agreement that we would like to put it out to see if there's any other offers that will be accepted. But I just need your consensus to proceed with the upset bid process, to run it in the newspaper on Thursday. You all are in agreement.
We just do a consensus, or does that got to go to action?
Just a consensus. And then once we're done, I'll bring it back to you all.
I think we have a consensus. Yep.
Okay. I'll run it in this week's paper, and it'll be posted on the website.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
All right, next we're going to talk about our budget goals for fiscal year 25, and I've asked Commissioner Morse to start.
Okay, I'll just go through my list and then answer any questions anybody has. First of all, I'd like to get back to at least a 20% fund balance if we can. And one thing about that, Lisa, all the different fund balances she gave us in the audit, the other day. I should know this as long as I've been doing this, but I'm still not exactly sure which one or how they calculate the percentage that we have to be at 8% thing, basically.
Calculation of
Yeah,
not go below 8%.
To go below 8%. So if you read those in the audit, it looks like we have a high fund balance. I mean, not high as some of the other counties, but still higher than what we've been advertising of 14%, I think it was.
That's part of the ARPA funds, I think Amber and I talked about.
Anyway, if y'all could just make sure during the budget that we can figure out how much we got to add to get to 20% in that calculation. We're measured against 8%. So I'd like to get at least 20%. On the school budget, I would hope we could work with them to get a school consolidation plan that we can all agree on to facilitate what funding decisions we make for the school system. And also, I think our financial advisor, Doug Carter, said in order to advise us on funding that we need a 5-year capital plan from the school system. We'll need that. So, and I think he also said he would go actually meet with them in person if they wanted to do that, or go to one of their meetings or whatever. So you guys would just facilitate that process so that we can make a good informed decision on how we should do the funding for the school budget. I would like to go ahead and continue with our effort to build a new animal shelter in Meadows. I think that's underway, but getting to the point we're going to have to come up with funding to do that, I think. So definitely I support doing that on the schedule that I think we're on as soon as possible. Also, fund the courthouse mandate that we have, which I think is $6 or something million plus the money that the legislature gave us. So we need to be able to address that and figure out how we're going to deal with that. I'd like to have a discussion on the hospital. As everyone's aware, we have some other moving parts going with the hospital, but along with that, we have certain obligations in the county, especially from a facility standpoint, to keep the facility operational. I think we have a roof requirement, an HVAC requirement if it fails. There may be something else. I like to address real close the hospital needs as we try to do whatever transition we do with it. And also look at it from a little bit longer term perspective too, maybe than what we do at times. So long-term plans for the hospital and its satellite facilities. Primarily, that discussion would center around Danbury and King. I don't think we have any major issues with the Pine Hall facility and what's going on out there. I would like to have a goal of putting funding in if necessary, or at least discussing the incentivizing of new businesses that are interested in opening in the county. And probably along with that, it's a budgetary function, but we need to figure out what our economic development organizational structure is going to be. Whether we're going to have an economic development director, whether we're going to have an economic development private-public partnership, or exactly how we're going to proceed in the future to manage economic development, along with looking at incentives and other things. I guess my goal with as far as the individual departments are concerned, it's going to be personnel and equipment, basically, as it always is, primarily with them. we've got some real challenges, I think, getting our fund balance back up and so forth. So we're going to, I think, take a really hard look at personnel and equipment requests from the departments. And I would just say, especially on personnel additions or reclassifications, they need to be very well justified to get approved. And I have no problem with the departments putting their list together and the things they desire to do to Amber, but then Amber's going to do cutting, and then we're going to do cutting or additions in the final budget. So if they really have a need, then put it in the budget, but that doesn't mean it's going to get approved. Another area that we have an effort underway to do, but will require, I think, more discussion, more effort, is continuing to do our upgrade of the network, especially with cyber threats and hackers and all those sort of things that appear to be going on in every county. I mean, I saw a county in another state the other day that I think it was a sheriff that was talking about it after having some kind of conference, and they were getting hit by the Chinese like 5 or 10 times a day on their network. So we probably all are, as far as that goes. We may be, but I really like to make sure that we resource that to make sure that we don't have some kind of catastrophe with the network, and then also continue the efforts to do the departmental software upgrades to make our operations more efficient. We've got efforts underway to do that, so I guess we need to look at the status of those, getting those completed on schedule, and look at what other areas of departmental type software that we need to look at. I just got a couple more. The pay is always an issue. Pay and turnover. There seems to be a rather vicious competition for employees, especially in certain departments across the county. And so I think we've got to do some kind of a pay. I guess Amber, you and Lisa can look at how you want to present that, but some kind of a look at our pay scale. One distinction I would like to make over the way we've done it sometimes in the past is that I would like it to be targeted to where we have issues with turnover or difficulty keeping employees, where we're competing with surrounding counties and so forth, and kind of target the pay discussion to where there's a problem. If we have departments that have no turnover ever, then that's an indication that the pay may be okay there, at least at one metric that you could look at. So the bottom line is, if we got a department that's bleeding people, and we give them some kind of a pay increase to try to stabilize that department, that doesn't mean the whole county gets a pay increase, in the way I look at it. So it needs to be kind of on a case-by-case basis, I think. Just for affordability as much as anything. And the last note I made was that especially for personnel kind of changes, additions, and so forth, just make sure the departments have a very strong justification. Because I don't think we'll approve anything without that really kind of data-driven, fact-based justification that we need to make those decisions. That's all I have.
Mr. Mendenhall?
I'm glad you get to follow that, not me.
There won't be anything left by the time it gets done.
Mine's gonna be laughed at.
Y'all hang on
I
because
was trying to help y'all out and get them all out of the way.
That's what I was hoping.
pretty much helped me out because as you saw, I had 2 pages worth here and I was going to hit all these, but Rick
Should've went with us first, then.
Rick hit a lot of mine. First was to continue working toward our model, the 2035 comprehensive plan. And as much as possible, as was already mentioned, but become and stay competitive with other surrounding counties that are size, very similar counties to us. For our employees with their salaries and benefits, because as Commissioner Morris mentioned, it's a battle with other counties. Continuous improvement with broadband, technology, internet, and other IT services throughout the county, and continuous business growth in areas through our county's own business. Continue improvement in updating our technology in all areas, especially public safety, EMS, sheriff, and fire. Keep those public safety departments as well staffed as we possibly can. And with the mental health situation, as Vaya and Commissioner Cox is on a lot of those boards, keep as our DSS employees as well stocked as possible without them leaving for other counties. Increase interest in foster care. Finalize and implement the finalization and full implementation of the health board's strategic plan. Finalize and select the provider of the medical situation we're in with the hospital, whether it's hospital renovations, urgent care, emergency rooms in different portions of the county. Pine Hall, I think, is our newest one, so I don't think that is in kind of a situation where we don't need that. We need to make sure that we don't forget that we'll have to be making a selection on our permanent county manager in the upcoming time frame. Amber has been our current interim manager for now, I think, almost a year. Sorry, I made quite a few notes here. Complete our debt management study with Carter and Associates that we've got set up. Remembering that we have a property reevaluation in 2025, which is going to be a big issue. Richard's done a good job, I think, explaining that at our meetings and going to different businesses and explaining that, and I think he's done a good job with that. Continuous improvement in our technology and IT services with all the cybersecurity issues that are going on right now in America. It can hit us just as it can any other county. The animal control building shelter, got that down. Continuous progress toward our strategic planning process that we're into right now. And let me see if I've got anything else that Commissioner Morris didn't have. I talked to some people in 911 and law enforcement and EMS. They're looking at hoping for the state-of-the-art equipment if it can be afforded. Us being behind as far as equipment needed in those areas. Also personnel. And water and sewer, process with completing our technology infrastructure. And let's see if I have anything else. But that's it.
All right.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Commissioner Wood?
I agree with all those. I still have concern over internet because everybody don't have it. The number of people working at home in this county has increased, and they need it. Our kids need it, and we're behind until it's in every home. I still haven't seen my grant writer. And I think if we get the grant writer, it's going to solve some other problems like Paula's grant that she did not keep in King but shared with the whole county. We've got senior citizen centers now covering the whole county. But that money's going to go away, and I do not want to see it stop for these senior citizens because I got news for you. There's more senior citizens here than there are 16-year-olds. So we got to keep that kicking. And the next one, I'm just embarrassed. We got all these parks. We got a new park, and we're not looking after them. They're all falling down. We got people using them, and our citizens deserve better. And I think we can solve that problem with a grant writer. And that's all I'm going to beat my guns about.
Well,
Is there
let's
any
see
meat on the bone for you?
maybe a little bit. I'm just gonna hit a couple high spots. So I agree with what they were saying about the fund balance and trying to get it back up and keep it up around 20%. Always public safety is always a priority. Making sure they are well staffed and looking again at the pay study if we need to or whatever to make sure, like you're saying, the turnover in some of those areas might be indicative of the pay needing to be looked at in those areas. I don't know, but it'd be worth looking into. So definitely that. The volunteer fire departments, I think if we don't, I think this budget would make sense to at least start looking into ways of helping them and strategically planning for them for the future, which I think some of that's already being done, but, and I don't know how much of, I know they came to us, talked about a fire tax last year, and we didn't do an increase, last year, but, I think that'll be something that'll be back on the table this time. The mental health and behavioral health, there again, I think VIA is willing and able to help us with that part, and that's a lot of state money that rolls through DSS that can come back to mental health and behavioral health, as well as if we use that opioid money to hire somebody for the health department would help with the mental health part of it too. I still want to look into, and I think it's probably in last year's budget, we didn't spend it yet, the demolition at the prison site, the animal shelter, still want to get that started this year, as well as this, the improvements or the expansion onto the courthouse. Education, I think, we don't know for sure what they're going to ask for, but, we got to be ready to look at capital needs that they may have this coming year. And if the goal is to try to keep as many schools open as possible, because last year during budget the goal was to consolidate schools. So I'm not sure what we're doing. I don't even know if they know. So
You didn't say that.
But that being said, we still have to try to plan around that for the future for old buildings and what to do with them. So, and like you said, the parks, of course, yesterday when we were up at Francisco, and one of the big questions was about the park and land that was donated. I got to finally meet Mark Black and thank him in person for that. And just talking to them up there about what that park could look like. And, you know, I think grants are going to be something needed there to help with the situation of the park. I don't know how much money we want to put in a budget. I'm not going to say a number for that park, but I think you have to look at the history, and Rick may know more about this since he's been county manager prior to being on the board, but, you know, what's been done at Pinnacle, what's been done at Germantown, and following along those same lines. But that being said, Keith made a good point about not probably enough is being done with the parks to keep them all update. And, you know, we have contracts and we have agreements with different groups, so that being said, up there, it may have to be something similar with the communities of Northwest Stokes about, you know, they don't have, and I understand they don't have employees, like they can't just, they have volunteer group, but I don't know, that's just the parks are concerned, I would say. So, that's all I have.
I think I agree with pretty much everything that y'all already covered. Just to touch on just the last part of the parks, is that I think we're very underserving in our parks here in Stokes County, countywide. And I think that a part of quality of life is a very important, parks is very important. Parks and recreation, I guess, is what we, I don't know how to term it, but it's very important for not just the younger generation, but it's also for, you know, the older generation as well. And I know that obviously we can't do everything at once, but I think as we move forward, I think we need to look at maybe having a separate parks and recreation department that has a director. I know Stuart does a great job of trying to keep the maintenance up on the parks that, you know, that we're supposed to do, but it's
A grant writer / parks and recreation.
well, and I hate to say this, but you know, because I fought for a full-time grant writer, and all I could get was a part-time, and I think that's part of what the problem is. But Amber, our manager, probably could talk more about that. But so sometimes you got to make decisions, and so you get what you pay for, and that's kind of where we're at. But the bottom line is, we do need a grant writer. And there's a lot of money out there for Parks and Rec. It also throws into what I'd mentioned last year, after the budget. I mean, I've yet to see a report from the YMCA. That's who we contract with for.
They're coming in March.
In March?
Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
That was the director today, actually.
Should we cancel the March?
No, he's anxious to
Okay.
come and work with us on what we do in the future.
Okay, all right, so, that's good. And then the only other thing that, I'll just leave it there. That sums it up. I mean, that's what I think.
You done?
I'm done, yeah.
I didn't mention property tax increases, but, my philosophy has always been, I do property tax increase as a last resort, but that doesn't mean I wouldn't want to do one. So we analyze what our real needs are and what we think we have to pay for. As a last resort, I would pay property taxes. So Amber, don't take it off the table, I guess, is what I'm saying in your recommendation. The other thing is we all need to continue to support that quarter-cent sales tax getting voted on and getting accepted. You know, that'll help a little bit offset the property tax.
Citizen-led committee.
Yeah. Nobody wants to talk about property tax increases, but I know. But have to fund our operations at the same time. So.
Commissioner Wood?
What I see developing is for Stokes County, especially with Vade Mickham Robin's report, the influx of visitors is going to be huge. And I think the future of Stokes County is going to be small businesses because we don't have the land or the infrastructure for Bowen to open a place next week. So, I think we need to make sure that Forsyth Tech and we help people who want to start a small business in Stokes County. And I don't know how that fits in the budget, but I think that's the truth, and nobody wants to hear the truth.
All right, any last comments?
I think this was well done. I would like to hear Amber and Lisa's input on the budget.
You will.
On the spot. I know you're on the spot. First, we need to pay our power bill.
Right now?
Sure. Am I on the line asking that?
I mean, I'll just keep it brief for now because, I mean, you know, it goes along with everything that y'all have already said. I mean, you know, me and HR have already had discussions, and we're working with the NCACC on looking at what, you know, not necessarily a new pay study, but looking at some changes we can make or what's the best option for us, you know, going forward, because I think in both of our opinions that's a priority for us because it affects a lot of other things than just what you see. I mean, turnover, you know, quality of life for our employees, you know, overall satisfaction, you know, the retirement. It just affects a lot of different things, and I think that we would like to do something. I don't know what that looks like this budget because again we're meeting and having discussions about that. It's not a simple fix, and even if we do need to look at revisiting a new salary study, it won't be this year in the budget, but we're hoping to maybe do at least something this budget to try to help our employees because we know we haven't done a COLA in several years, and something's needed. We just don't know what the answer is yet, but we'll have that. I would say, I mean, of course, when budget comes around, department budgets are due March 8th, so we're starting the process a little early this year. So that way we'll have more time to make those decisions, and the Board of Commissioners will have more time to look at the presented budget, hopefully, and make those deliberations and decisions about what's going forward. You know, we are working on both the courthouse and animal shelter projects with the demolition bids being received for that now, so that should take place very soon. In the next couple months, that project should be taking place. Public safety, again, they're working on the implementation of their software, so they're working on that now, having meetings about starting that process. So is finance with their software. They've already had some of those initial meetings, and the lady from City Suite has been here for a week. Last week, I believe it was, here working with Lisa and Tracy and the whole finance department purchasing. And Paylocity, we've implemented that. There's still some kinks, but we're working it out. We're hoping that that'll be a positive thing for our employees once we work out those kinks and get rolling with it. I know they're exploring the HR side of it now, where they can do, you know, evaluations and do the personnel action forms, you know, doing salary changes, all of that in the system instead of having all this paper floating around. Hopefully it'll be a lot easier for our department heads and the supervisors and all employees. That way you can go in there and check it instead of having to come to, you know, HR or finance and request a copy of your pay stub or W-2 or whatever that looks like. You can just go in there and access it. So we're making improvements, and I'm hoping by the time, you know, we present the recommended budget, we'll have a better update as far on some of those that we are working on hard right now.
I just look at the big picture. Services go up as far as the price of it. Revenue streams, I don't know what that is, but we need revenue streams to help offset.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
And I said I was going to say this last week when I visited here and got around to a few people. I'm impressed with the people we got and the job y'all doing. I just want to say thank you.
Very much so.
All right, next up is the administrative contract discussion of the interim county manager and also our interim clerk to the board. As Commissioner mentioned, we're coming up on that year mark for the contract that was drafted and signed by the interim manager and also by the interim clerk to the board. So there'll be more. We got updates coming along with the permanent county manager position, and we'll be involved in that later this week. But in the meantime, there's no way to obviously hire or interview somebody full time because we want the advertisement to go out and be well distributed and well formulated. So in lieu of that, we need to extend the contract temporarily until July, because our target date is July for the hiring of a permanent manager. There's no increase in we're not changing the rate of incentive that they were getting. It's just time. That's all it is. And if I can get a consensus to move forward with that, you okay with that, Rick?
To extend both contracts?
Yes.
Until when?
Till July.
Okay. And is there a chance we'll get it done before July, though?
Well,
if we did, we could just stop the contract.
Yeah, but from what I'm hearing, it's going to be very difficult to get a new manager, or not. I don't want to say a permanent manager in place.
Okay.
Before July.
We'll probably have more input on that Thursday.
That's what I just.
Yeah, I'm good with it. I'm good with standing them.
Yeah, I'm good with it.
I don't think we got a choice.
We need to have that on action, Jennifer, at all, or we can just do it by consent? Would it be better to move it to action since a contract?
I think so. I think
Redraft it?
I think consensus would be good enough for this.
I think putting it on action would be probably the safest bet.
Probably need to do it at the next meeting so you can draft an amendment to the contract or something, and we'll officially approve it, but by consensus, yes, we need to do that.
Any more discussion on that? All right, we'll go to the action agenda. And we have the Walnut Cove Planning and Zoning Board, EKJ appointments. At the last meeting, Worth Yance and Greg LaRoche were nominated to fill the two positions for the Walnut Cove Planning and Zoning EKJ Board. And Lisa Lee Harrison was nominated to serve in the alternate role. There have been no other applications received. So unless there's any other discussion, I'd like to poll the board. So the ones that were recommended to go to action were Worth Younce and Greg LaRoche for the regular positions, and then Lisa Lee Harrison was nominated to serve in the alternate role. So
just want to make sure these three, we've had it advertised. Do we need to officially have a motion to close all nominations?
we done that last meeting. They move it to action.
Did we? Okay. I wasn't sure. Did it?
Yeah, last week they were nominated, and we haven't received any applications since then.
So nobody else has applied.
I just need to pause.
Okay.
Unless somebody has another nominee, which I don't think any of us do. Do we?
Well, I'll go ahead and start it.
Sure. Yeah.
Worth Yance, Greg LaRoche as our two positions, and alternate Lisa Harrison.
Hey, Greg LaRoche, Worth Yance, and then Lisa Harrison as alternate.
Worth Younce, Greg LaRoche, and Lisa Lee Harrison is the alternate, and Younce and LaRoche are the permanent.
LaRoche, Yance for permanent position, Harris for alternate.
And I've got Yance and LaRoche for the permanent and Harrison for the alternate.
Okay. Next up is the resolution recognizing farmer appreciation, and do you have that resolution? I'll read it. All right, this is the resolution proclaiming Farmer Appreciation Day in Stokes County, whereas the County of Stokes, the Stokes Soil and Water Conservation District, the Cooperative Extension Farm Service Agency, the Natural Resource Conservation Service, and the North Carolina Forest Service desire to host the Farmer Appreciation Day to recognize the contributions of our farmers to Stokes County, and whereas the Board of Commissioners recognizes the county's farmers contribute greatly to Stokes County's economic base, and whereas the board believes that all county citizens benefit from farming activities in some manner, and whereas the board agrees that a Farmer Appreciation Day would show our county's support for the existing farming community and honor past activities that have contributed so much to the culture and heritage of Stokes County, and whereas the board recognizes and appreciates the local businesses within the county that provides funding for a barbecue and chicken dinner with live entertainment to be held at South Stokes High School with all Stokes County citizens invited. Now therefore be it resolved that the Stokes County Board of Commissioners hereby proclaims Thursday, April 4th, 2024 as Farmer Appreciation Day in Stokes County and extends its appreciation and gratitude to the county's farmers for their many contributions to Stokes County. Adopted by the Stokes County Board of Commissioners this 26th day, February 2024.
Motion that we approve the resolution proclaiming Farmer Appreciation Day in Stokes County.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any further discussion? All opposed? Motion carries. I will entertain a motion for adjournment.
Make a motion that we adjourn.
Second.
Did you want to take action on the administrative contracts? Or did you just give your consensus and do action next time?
Yeah, we need
Okay.
consensus to do action next time.
Okay.
Yeah.
I just want to make sure
Okay.
I don't want to miss anything.
Okay. Yeah, in a minute. We got a motion and a second. All in favor of adjourning? Aye. And all opposed? Motion carries.